I am the fake daughter of the Marquis. Hilarious. I'm not afraid at all, because I know my mother swapped all the Marquis's children. My 5 elder brothers, 4 younger brothers, 3 elder sisters, and 2 younger sisters are all fakes. Oh, wait, I have a 6th brother, the heir, but he wasn't swapped by my mother. He was never my father's child to begin with. The Marquis's fertility record, 100% survival rate, 0% miscarriage rate. Wow, the 4th young lady of the Yong'an Marquis mansion just found out today that she's a fraud. Father, I am your real biological daughter. My fake father looked at his biological daughter, who looked just like him, and then looked at me like he'd swallowed a fly. In that awkward moment, my mother stepped in and settled everything. It's all fate. Zaire is still my daughter. Does the mansion lack a bowl of rice for her? Quote, I was so moved I could cry, deciding I would definitely be filial to my mother. Until that night, my lady, as you instructed, I have verified everything. The eldest son practices martial arts, just like his biological father, Zhang the blacksmith. The 3rd son is good with numbers, like the accountant at the South City rice shop. The 5th son has immense strength, also like the blacksmith. Quote, the literary talent of the 2nd and 4th sons surely takes after their scholar father. What about the girls? The 2nd daughter is talented. Her mother is a Suzhou embroidery artist. The 5th daughter sings well. Her mother is the mistress of a monk from back then. It is confirmed that all the children under the Marquis, except for the real daughter who returned today, have no blood relation to him. The Marquis has no heir, but I've spent over a decade planning this. In her past life, the fake daughter must have dug up my mother's ancestral grave. Quote, by the way, that girl Zaire, she wasn't scared today, was she? The 4th young lady is truly grateful to you. She really sees you as her support. Quote, she's a sensible child. With her, the fake daughter, standing blatantly in the front. Who would ever doubt the authenticity of the other young masters and ladies? Quote, fine, I'm not just a fake. I'm a strategic buffer fake used to cover up all the other fakes. It's pitiful. She'll likely be overshadowed by the real daughter from now on. How about this? Double Zaire's monthly allowance, paid from my personal funds. Quote, understood, my lady. What a talent. Single-handedly, she swapped her enemy husband's entire brood. Now that I'm privy to this earth-shattering secret, my mindset has undergone a metamorphosis. Once a trembling fake heiress, I am now the keeper of a nuclear bomb. No, the chief observer holding the survival codes for the entire estate. Before breakfast, I had a small encounter with Lu Qianqin in the garden. Look, sister, father gifted this to me yesterday. He said it's fine material from the palace. You've been in the estate for so many years, surely you have plenty too. Quote, sister, that bracelet is indeed beautiful. Father treats you so well. Quote, that goes without saying. Father says I'm his own biological daughter, so naturally, he gives me the best. Quote, biological daughter? You'd better cherish that well. After all, in this estate, aside from you, everyone else is a knockoff. During breakfast, looking at the brothers at the table, I felt like I was attending a personal art exhibition.
Not bad. You have the foundation of our Lu family spear techniques.
It has the foundation of a blacksmith hammering iron.
My son has an extraordinary vision.
Extraordinary? Your real son is probably out in the field right now, extraordinarily chasing field mice.
Born with divine strength, my son makes me proud.
Proud? What are you proud of? Proud that you're so naive and easy to fool? Zaire, mother, you look a bit pale lately. I've had the kitchen stew some rock sugar bird's nest. You should have more. Quote, father. Qianqin remained silent. Mother's treatment of Lu Qianqin was a standard crushing by rules, using the centuries of history in the Marquis estate to slowly grind her down with seemingly reasonable yet incredibly tedious protocols. That little ambition she had to outshine me was long since worn away. Meanwhile, I played the part of a content, occasionally clumsy fake heiress to perfection. Half the gifts Li Mu gave me, I used to improve my lifestyle, and I quietly stashed the other half away. My intuition told me that in this magical household, having a little extra private stash never hurts. Life passed in this eerie, calm balance until my legendary 6th brother returned. My 6th brother, Lu Hongxuan, was brought in quietly through the side door in a dusty little sedan chair. A script whispered about in the shadows. He is the product of the Marquis's youthful history, the mistake all men under heaven are prone to make. An illegitimate son raised outside who couldn't be brought into the light, but rumored to be exceptionally clever. The day he returned, Li Mu was leading us in the garden, listening to a female tutor lecture on the biographies of exemplary women. Madam, the 6th young master has returned to the estate. Understood. Place him in Beiyuxuan, and make sure his provisions follow the standard for the 5th young master's schooling days. 5th brother's provisions are just the same as his schooling days. This treatment, not to mention comparing it to us legitimate offspring, even the slightly respectable senior maids get better. Is the madam really receiving him? This setup is precise. She doesn't dump trash. She just strictly enforces the hierarchy. Father returned from court to find out and his face turned green. Even from far away, I could hear his low voice suppressing his rage. He is my own flesh and blood. To treat him so poorly would make us a laughingstock. Beiyuxuan is cold and damp. I fear his health won't hold up, and the provisions are far too meager. My lord, don't be angry. It's not that I am being stingy. I am doing this for Brother Zahn. He has just returned to the manor and his status is awkward. If we elevate him too quickly, it will stir resentment among his siblings, making it even harder for him to live here. The provisions may be thin, but he will have no immediate worries. If you feel bad for him, you can always supplement him privately, and I shall simply act as if I don't know. Listen to how high-sounding that is. Thinking of Brother Zahn, being considerate and thorough, virtuous and broad-minded. Madam's move is cold and calculating, while appearing to allow the father to open a special kitchen. It preserves her reputation, disgusts the fake father, and brands the 6th brother as an enemy. High level, truly high level. I became deeply interested in this 6th brother. In a family full of hypocrites, a genuine outsider suddenly emerges. The plot is getting interesting. I then, accidentally, encountered him in a secluded corner of the garden, lost in his sorrows under the moon. Why does this face look so familiar? No need for such formalities, 6th brother. Are you settling in well? If you need anything, just tell mother. What is she saying? Tell the madam? Isn't that just asking for trouble? Anything. The fake father's private supplement clearly hasn't arrived yet. The madam said to act as if she didn't know, and the servants are best at reading the room. They won't let the money reach his hands easily. We exchanged some awkward pleasantries about the weather and the food before parting ways. Where on earth have I seen him before? Something's not right. According to the top secret file I heard that night, Lu Hongxuan's biological mother was an outsider favored by Prince Jin. He should be Prince Jin's seed. So why does he look like the cheap fake father? A few days later, the fake father's tone changed. The reason? He was apparently triggered by something and suddenly began praising Hongxuan incessantly at the dinner table. Hongxuan's essay is excellent. Hongxuan's calligraphy shows great promise. With time, he will surely achieve greatness. You all should learn from him. The expressions of the siblings at the dinner table were all quite varied. My eldest brother, Lu Hongwu, gave a cold snort. The sound of his bowl was a bit too loud. My second brother, Lu Hongwen, saw his smile fade slightly. He leisurely picked at his food. My fifth brother, Lu Hongli, slammed his chopsticks down.
What's so great about knowing how to write a few words?
Even my third sister, who usually stays out of trouble, frowned slightly. The true daughter, Lu Qianqin, bit her lip, her eyes turning red. She's been back for so long, and father has never praised her like that. Meanwhile, Lu Hongxuan, the center of the storm, looked restless. His face turned from red to white. I kept my head down, eating, while laughing to myself. Fake father is clearly roasting Lu Hongxuan over an open fire, using him to motivate the other children while showing off his own skills as a judge of character. My lord is right. Xuaner is diligent, but every child has their own strengths. Fifth brother is brave, second brother is scholarly, and the others are lovely. They are all your blessings, my lord. Xuaner still needs to grow closer with his siblings and not drift apart. Quote, her words deflected the tension with ease. She affirmed fake father, soothed the other children, and reminded Lu Hongxuan to fit in. Lu Hongxuan looked at mother gratefully and quickly agreed. However, I caught the faint, fleeting curve of mother's lips as she lowered her head to drink tea. It was the same expression I saw that night behind the rockery when she spoke to a nameless shadow. It seems my sixth brother playing the hero was all part of the script. This manner is truly a stage. Fake father thinks he's the director and the lead. In reality, he hasn't even touched the script. Aside from the true daughter, Lu Qianqin, who is struggling in her ignorance, everyone else has their own hidden motives and roles, acting along as the night goes on. And the head director, mother, sits firmly in the control room, watching the role play on screen. Occasionally adjusting the lighting and lines, she ensures the manner steadily moves toward the grand finale of destruction she has planned. As for me, I continued to play my role as the honorary fourth daughter, frantically hoarding melon seeds and secret savings, preparing for the more explosive drama to come. But given mother's obsession with theatrics and her inexplicable favoritism toward me, I wonder, could I be a surprise twist too? The thought sent a chill down my spine, yet left me strangely excited. Hey, Lu Yingxi, stay steady. You're just a fake heiress here to watch the show. Don't go jumping into the drama yourself. They say even those watching from the sidelines can get caught in the chaos, and that couldn't be more true for me right now. It all started with a jade pendant left by my birth mother. The quality was average, the carving ordinary. The only unique thing was a natural streak of red, like a blood stain. I kept it hidden on me at all times. That day, the real heiress, Lu Qianqin, wandered into my courtyard again. Ever since she realized I, the fake, hadn't been kicked out while she, the real one, had been sidelined, she often stopped by to borrow things. Sister, your room is looking more refined these days, she said, while her eyes swept over everything like a spotlight, finally settling on the pendant I'd taken out to air. This piece is quite unique. Let me wear it for a few days. No, Lu Qianqin, put that down. It's not something you can touch. What is there in this mansion that I, the true young lady, cannot touch? On the contrary, sister, you're just a farmer's daughter. What here actually belongs to you? Shut up and give the pendant back. What if I don't? Are you going to run to father and mother to tell on me? Don't forget, your real parents are still out in the country working the fields. How could they possibly have such an object? This pendant must have been left by my own aunt, so it should naturally belong to me, her biological daughter. Her voice was sharp, as if she wanted the whole house to hear. My temper flared. This pendant held the secret to my origins. How could I let Lu Qianqin snatch it away? Fine, then let's go before mother and settle this. Let's see who she decides the pendant belongs to. We struggled and pulled, making a scene all the way to the main courtyard. What is the meaning of this? Stop this pulling and tugging. It's disgraceful. Mother, look at this jade pendant. It's clearly a family heirloom left by my aunt, but sister insists it's hers and refuses to return it. She must think that because father isn't here, she can bully a daughter with no one to back her up. She really knows how to twist the truth. But before I could say a word, mother waved her hand to stop me. Let me see it. She picked up the pendant and held it against the light, examining that streak of red with a pensive expression, as if she were recalling something.
This pendant was something I once owned, and it shares a fate with Zaire. Later, when Zaire grew up, I gave it to her.
Mother, but this jade pendant. I understand your longing for your birth mother, but all the dowry items from back then are recorded, and this one is not among them. Enough, enough. Qianqin, you've just returned, so it's understandable you're confused about many things. Let's drop this matter today and never speak of it again. Zaire, your sister is young and made a mistake. As the elder sister, be more tolerant. Keep this jade pendant well. Lu Qian turned bright red, but dared not argue further. She could only take her leave, her back showing nothing but resentment and unwillingness. This storm seemed to have passed, but the atmosphere in the manor changed due to another earth-shattering event. The Prince of Jin ascended the throne. Upon hearing the news, father locked himself in his study, weeping and laughing for half the night. When he emerged, he looked radiant, as if 10 years younger, walking with a spring in his step. He began summoning Lu Hongxuan frequently, his eyes filled with heat, as if he could already see his own future as a top official through this son. Lu Hongxuan's changes were even more visible. The low-key, cautious, and even somewhat timid son was gone. He started wearing fine brocades he once dared not touch, walking with a proud and arrogant air. Word has it he connected with someone of high status, believing his own standing had risen, looking at everyone in the manor with thinly veiled disdain. Especially me, the fake daughter, and that true daughter from the countryside, were his primary targets for ridicule. Everything I've achieved is thanks to father and mother's blessings. Brother has worked hard outside, so you should eat more, I couldn't help but jab. Brother is truly different now. Your Honor is right. A real man should know his worth. You should all learn from him. Quote, but what made me most uneasy was stepmother's reaction. Faced with father's overflowing joy, Lu Hongxuan's sudden flaunting, and the bizarre, excited undercurrents in the house, she was unnervingly calm. She was like a truly compassionate yet indifferent bodhisattva, watching the performance of the living quietly, as if everything were already fated. This transcendental calmness terrified me more than any intense reaction. Father's joy of the past few nights finally reached its peak on a breezy afternoon, only to be shattered into pieces. That day, he wore his most formal court robes, beaming with energy, prepared to enter the palace to see the emperor.
Schwenner, father is going now to win us a glorious future for our Marquis manor.
Lu Hongxuan was also full of excitement. He couldn't even help himself, whispering a taunt as he passed by me. Fourth sister, once my status changes, should you call me sixth brother, or address me as your highness? I pretended not to hear, but silently lit a candle for him in my heart. Young Lu, with that face of yours, I don't believe your cheap schemes will ever come true. My fake father wasn't carried back by the imperial guards on a door plank until evening, his backside soaked in blood and passed out. It said he knelt outside the imperial study for ages before finally seeing the emperor.
Your Majesty, my loyalty to you is as clear as the sun and moon. When the late emperor was still alive, I secretly supported you. That white moonlight of yours, consort Feng, whom you lost years ago, I saved her by chance and raised the dragon's heir she carried. He spoke like a flowing river, full of raw emotion, feeling quite moved by his own performance. The emperor, busy reviewing memorials, paused his brush and looked up at Lu Hongxuan. Are you certain this is the son of consort Feng? Absolutely certain, your majesty. Look at these brows and eyes. Don't they carry a hint of the late consort's likeness? I would never dare deceive you. Likeness. More like a ghost of your own making.
Lu Zhen, what immense gall you have, to find someone who looks so much like you to impersonate royal blood and deceive your sovereign. Do you really take me for a blind man? Guards! The Marquis of Yong'an, Lu Zhen, has deceived his sovereign, committed treason, and muddied the royal bloodline. Drag him away and give him 50 heavy blows. Take him back to the manor and restrict him. Order him to hand over the real son of consort Feng within 3 days. If there is any further concealment, the entire family will be exiled. The news flew back to the Marquis's manor on wings. By the time my fake father was carried back, he had only one breath left, while Lu Hongxuan cowered in his courtyard like a dog with its bones removed. The household was in an absolute uproar. The emperor ordered the real son of consort Feng to be produced. The scope of real is quite broad now. Who is the real one? Who is worthy of being the real one? Especially those young masters and misses who consider themselves exceptionally talented and beautiful, feeling out of place with their mediocre birth mothers, began to stir. The first to jump out was the fifth miss, Lu Qianyu. The more she looked, the more she felt her moon shaming. Flower-closing beauty and nightingale-like talent could never be born to a commoner woman. It must have been a mix-up at birth. Perhaps I am the pearl lost among the common folk. Mother, the more I think about it, the more wrong it feels. My birth mother was weak back then. How could she have given birth to a daughter as peerless as me? My appearance and talent must have some other hidden story behind them. I beg Mother to take charge and investigate my true identity.
Mother, I also find it quite strange. The mother is so petite, yet the son is naturally burly. This just doesn't make sense. Could it be that the son is not his biological child either?
The third young master, the fourth young lady, and several other children who considered themselves exceptional all rushed to Mother to plead their cases, implying in every word that they were of extraordinary origin and surely not the offspring of the Marquis and those concubines. Siblings who were once on good terms were now on the verge of falling out over a potentially noble status, their suspicious glares darting across the estate. The true daughter, Lu Qianqin, kept quiet. As the confirmed biological daughter of the Marquis, she had become the safest yet most hopeless one, forced to watch this farce with resentment and occasionally casting hateful glances at me. I hid in the corner, keeping a low profile, but I couldn't help but worry for Mother. The situation was spiraling out of control. Father was bedridden and half dead, and these ambitious ones were ready to trample their own mothers into the dirt just to climb the social ladder. How would Mother handle the new emperor's decree and control these children on the brink of madness? Yet, Mother's performance showed me once again what it means to remain calm even when the sky falls. She sat in the main hall, listening to one child after another, her face showing neither surprise nor anger, only a deep, compassionate weariness. Once everyone had finished, she spoke slowly. The emperor's will must be obeyed by the Marquis's estate. Since you all have doubts, let us investigate. List every young master and miss in the estate whose age matches and whose biological mother's records might be related to the rumors. Then, go to the archives and bring out all birth records from those years, the concubines' files, and all midwife documents. Quote, furthermore, her gaze swept calmly across the faces below, filled with excitement, arrogance, or guilt. To prevent anyone from accusing the Marquis's estate of bias, tomorrow I will invite the chief of the imperial clan court to the estate, along with several highly respected elders, to witness the verification. Truth or falsehood will be known upon investigation. But I must say this first. Regardless of the results, you are children raised by this house for over a decade. If you are truly of royal blood, the house will not hinder your future. If not, do not harbor resentment or forget your roots. The Marquis's estate will always be your home. Quote, her words were reasonable and compelling, balancing firmness with grace. They satisfied the elders while silencing the skeptics, further highlighting the matriarch's fairness and magnanimity. The children who had been clamoring the loudest felt a sudden, lingering trepidation despite their excitement, as she invited outsiders and high officials to bear witness. Isn't this commotion a bit too grand? What if the results prove otherwise? Only I noticed the faint, almost imperceptible cold smirk at the corner of Mother's mouth. Invite people to witness? Witness what exactly? Witness that, aside from the unrefined true daughter they dragged back, none of the other outstanding children have any blood relation to the Marquis of Yong'an. Witness that the Grand Marquis's estate, with its decade of joyous family harmony, is merely a meticulously planned, absurd soap opera of swapping heirs. I can already foresee the spectacular expressions on the faces of the noble ladies tomorrow, and the possibility of my father vomiting blood and dying upon learning the truth. Mother's move isn't meant to quell the situation. It is clearly adding fuel to the fire. It's as if she feels father isn't dying fast enough, and she is tearing away the facade of our entire household for all to see. Such a cruel, soul-crushing blow. I touched the warm jade pendant in my sleeve. That smear of blood seemed to burn, growing increasingly searing to the touch. Yet, for some reason, beyond the tension, a strange sense of anticipation arose in my heart. Mother has been directing this play for over a decade, and it is finally reaching its climax. As a VIP audience member and an oblivious extra, I must keep my eyes wide open. The Paternity Validation Assembly, that day will surely be an unprecedented spectacle for the Yong'an estate. The new emperor, once Prince Jing, has likely finally cleared his schedule, dispatching imperial guards and officials from the clan court to descend upon the Marquis's estate simultaneously.
Showing concern for an old subject's lineage, they demand that all children of the estate, regardless of status, immediately verify their identities.
Blood drop verification, though an ancient and crude method, remains the most intuitive. The truth of who is not of the Marquis's bloodline was revealed in a shocking display. My father, the Marquis, turned deathly pale on the spot, his lips trembling, unable to utter a single coherent word. He both hoped to find a true heir among us and feared the outcome should those hopes be dashed. Madame Shen sat composed at the head of the table, dressed as elegantly as ever, her hair perfectly coiffed, turning a string of sandalwood prayer beads in her hands with lowered eyes, as if merely attending an ordinary Buddhist rite. My brothers and sisters were brought into the hall, standing in silence. Eldest brother Lu Hongwu frowned. Second brother Lu Hongwen looked grim. Fifth brother Lu Renli shifted his feet anxiously. Third sister, sixth sister, and the others were deathly pale, clutching their handkerchiefs. The true daughter, Lu Qianqin, had red, swollen eyes as if she had been crying, yet now she watched the bowl of clear water with a near pathological anticipation. Sixth brother stood at the front, back straight, a faint, condescending smile on his lips, convinced he was the only true dragon and that today was the day he would prove it. A silver needle pierced our fingertips one by one. The first drop of blood, from eldest brother, fell into the water. It remained distinct from the Marquis's, causing his pupils to contract. The second drop, from second brother, also failed to merge. The third, from third sister, likewise. When the sharp pain from the needle hit my fingertip for the fourth drop, my mind went blank. My blood sank slowly into the clear water, gazing at the Marquis's blood from afar, as if separated by a vast galaxy, never to meet. I heard Lu Qianqin gasp beside me, then shift into a twisted look of delight. The fifth drop, sixth sisters, did not merge. Fifth brothers did not either. Sixth brother, being deemed impossible to be of the imperial bloodline, was spared. One by one, everyone's blood refused to merge with the Marquis's. The hall fell into a deathly silence, with only the bowl of clear water clearly reflecting the pale, ashen faces of everyone present and those clusters of crimson, symbolizing the betrayal of bloodlines, refusing to blend. He pointed at his children throughout the hall, too choked with rage to speak. Impossible. This is impossible. Shen, it was you. You did this, you vicious woman. Quote, the blood test was by the emperor's decree, witnessed fairly by the imperial clan court and the internal eunuchs. The water and the needles were all prepared by the estate. I have not touched a thing from beginning to end. As for these children, I have raised them as my own, loving them as if they were born of me. Today's result breaks my heart, but such is heaven's will. One cannot force the matters of blood. Quote, you talk nonsense. Shen Mingzhu. What a wicked heart you have. You've severed the Lu family line, you. The children's birth mothers were all brought into the manor by the Marquis himself years ago. I merely raised them with all my heart. As for who their biological fathers are, how could I possibly know? Perhaps it was a bond formed before they entered the manor. Or perhaps even the mothers themselves don't remember clearly. I only know I have done my best to care for the Marquis's children. What wrong have I done? The fake father trembled with rage, yet could not utter a word of rebuttal. Those concubines and maids were indeed taken by him. My lady had always appeared virtuous and magnanimous. Who could have foreseen this?
This Marchioness is no simple woman. With just a few light words, she shifted the grave crime of confusing the bloodline and illicit affairs into a gray area where the mother's pasts are unclear and the Marquis's own memory is muddled. Matters of the heart are hardest to verify, and involving events from 10 or 20 years ago makes it nearly impossible to hold the Marquis accountable. His Majesty's decree has already clarified the truth. If the Marquis has any objections, he may submit a petition, but to roar in the Great Hall and ruin his own wife, what kind of decorum is that?
The fake father looked at the hall full of children who were not his own, looked at his terrifyingly calm wife, then looked at the expressionless officials from the imperial clan court and the palace attendants who kept their heads bowed, and a vast, icy despair gripped him. In an instant, he seemed to have aged 20 years. His spirit completely collapsed. The young masters and misses in the hall were terrified out of their wits. The eldest brother clenched his fists so tightly they creaked, yet he did not know who to hate. The second brother's face turned ashen. His lifelong pride and reliance suddenly crumbled. He was utterly bewildered, looking at this person, then that, and began to weep softly. The future seemed pitch black, but the most unexpected thing was that the real daughters, Lu Qian's, blood did not blend either. No, my blood must blend. I am father's own daughter, born of Lady Lu. Look again, look again. She tried to grab the bowl, but was pinned down firmly by the servants. The 2 drops of blood in the bowl remained clearly separate. No, someone is wrong. Someone must be wrong. Mother, mother, speak up. You promised. She is overstimulated. Take her away to rest. Send for a doctor to have a look at her. It's not like this. Speak. You have to speak. The farce seemed to end with the Marquis's total collapse, as the fake children's futures were put to an end. Yet, with so many non-biological heirs, verifying if each one was of imperial descent was impossible. The current situation far exceeded their initial expectations. They had only come under secret orders to verify the adopted son, Lu Hongxuan, who was pushed forward by the Marquis and suspected of having ties to the King of Jin, just to warn the restless Marquis of Yong'an. Who would have thought this basin of water would reveal a total catastrophe? Every child in the Marquis's residence, including the true daughter who had just been retrieved, shared no bloodline with the Marquis. This was no simple case of lineage confusion or mismanagement of the household. It was a scandal of such proportions that it defied belief.
Lord Zongjong, how shall we report this back? His Majesty only ordered us to verify the Marquis's own children for imperial ties. With so many here, how can we check them all?
The old Zongjong's brows were furrowed, his face heavy with gravity. If there really were imperial bloodlines adrift, especially those with direct links to the throne, it would be a matter of grave importance, far more critical than the Marquis's lineage. The problem was how to verify them. There were a dozen young men and women standing and kneeling before them, each potentially having a significant background, but each also just as likely to be a common bastard. Were they to take them all back and test their blood against His Majesty's one by one?
That is simply absurd. There is no precedent in any dynasty for such a procedure. Without proof or justification, suspecting them all of being of imperial blood simply because they aren't the Marquis's biological children. If word got out, where would the imperial dignity remain? Where would the court's prestige remain?
When it involves the imperial bloodline, one must be cautious to the smallest degree. There must be clear evidence to proceed. Furthermore, the imperial clan court and the palace eunuchs only arrived today with the decree to verify the Marquis's own line. The Marquis's failure to manage his household has led to this confusion of bloodlines, allowing the fake to pass for the real. This is a grave offense. His Majesty will surely be enraged. However, what the madam said just now is not without reason. The internal affairs of the household have been obscured for years, making them difficult to investigate. Regardless of their parentage, these young masters and misses grew up in the Marquis's residence, calling him father and the madam mother. For this to be revealed to them so suddenly is like a bolt from the blue. The priority now is to return to the palace to report the truth about the Marquis's lineage to His Majesty and request that he pass judgment on the Marquis. As for the placement of these young masters and misses, since the implications are vast, we will likely need to conduct a separate investigation. Who should be investigated first, and by what means?
He seemed to be asking the old Zongjong, yet also asking everyone present. Or perhaps, he was hinting at something more.
This is the 4th miss of the residence. Yes.
Might I have a look at the jade pendant you are wearing? All eyes instantly turned toward me. Lu Qianqin stopped crying, staring intently at the jade pendant. My heart thundered as I offered the pendant with both hands. He examined it for so long that the air seemed to freeze once more.
Master Wang, please take a look at these markings, this texture, and this color. This pendant matches the characteristics of the imperial blood jade perfectly.
This is indeed the legendary blood jade. Its patterns are identical to those in the secret archives. Years ago, when Prince Jin performed a great service, the late emperor granted him a piece, which was carved into a jade pendant for his daughter's well-being. This is that very piece. Quote, another bombshell, louder than the last, stunned everyone. The Marquis was dumbfounded, and my father finally opened his eyes, looking at me with a bottomless gaze. A mix of shock, regret, and something I couldn't comprehend. Lu Qianqin screamed.
Impossible. She's a fake. She's just a stray found on the streets. How could she be a princess? I am the true daughter of the Marquis. Quote.
Silence. This is a royal token. How dare you slander it? Quote. Master Wang, Send someone to the palace immediately for the emperor's decree, and retrieve all relevant files from that year. 4th Miss. No, young lady, please come to the side chamber with us. We must ensure your safety until the emperor decides. Quote.
I was respectfully but firmly escorted to the side chamber, leaving behind a room full of stunned, bewildered people. But father, this pendant was given to me by mother. Are you trying to muddy the royal bloodline? Quote. This was beyond my mother, and beyond me too. When the news reached the palace, the new emperor fell into a long silence. It is said he sat alone in the study all night, staring at the pendant again and again. The next day, the decree arrived. Marquis Yong'an, Liu Zhen, failed to manage his household, causing confusion in bloodlines and attempting to deceive the throne. He should be severely punished, but for his merit in raising the princess, he is dealt with leniently. Stripped of his title, demoted to Count Yong'an, and confined for 3 years. His son, Liu Hongxuan, is stripped of his status and banished from the capital, never to be employed again. The 4th daughter, Liu Yun, is confirmed as the lost imperial daughter and is hereby granted the title of Princess Anning. Quote. She is to be brought into the palace immediately. My birth mother, Lady Feng, was posthumously granted the title of imperial noble consort Joshi. As for the other children of the Marquis's estate, the imperial decree made it clear. Your father is no longer my subject, so do as you please. It has nothing to do with the imperial family, and don't expect any favors. The mansion went from bustling with children to empty overnight. Liu Qianqin and Liu Zhang's proof turned out to be carefully fabricated lies. Liu Qianqin could not argue her way out, and the bloodline she relied on became a complete joke. In the end, she was expelled from the estate for impersonating nobility. I was taken away by palace guards amidst chaos, resentment, and looks of disbelief. With complex emotions, he said, be careful in all things. Since you are used to your maid, let her go with you. She can look after you. Quote. He was referring to Qing, the quiet, delicate-featured maid who had always been by my side. Though I felt it odd, my heart was in turmoil, and without much thought, I nodded in agreement. As the carriage headed toward the palace, I touched the jade pendant in my pocket, watching the mansion's plaque recede through the window like a fading dream. In just a few days, I had transformed from an awkward fake heiress to a noble princess, yet I felt no joy, only deep unease and a sense of absurdity. This jade pendant was given to me by mother. Everything I know was told to me by mother. But does His Majesty really believe I am his daughter? Can those pieces of evidence that fooled others really fool him? After entering the palace, the emperor looked at me with complex eyes. He didn't ask about the details, only stroking my hair. It is good that you have returned. I will compensate you. Quote. Treasures flowed into my new palace like water, and life seemed to hit the fast-forward button. I struggled to adapt to princess life, learning etiquette and dealing with probes from all sides. Qing was indeed capable, managing the palace affairs in perfect order and remaining loyal to me, which spared me much worry. Just when I thought this absurd farce would end with my recognition and a life of luxury, a chilling turn occurred. It was an ordinary afternoon. The empress invited me to admire flowers. During the conversation, the topic shifted to my time among the commoners. Speaking of which, this girl Qing by Princess Anning's side looks familiar, especially those brows. They bear a striking resemblance to the portrait of Lady Feng hidden in His Majesty's study, don't they? Your servant is terrified. How could such a common maid compare to a celestial being? Raise your head and let this princess take a look. The silhouette of those beautiful eyes and that gentle temperament made the expressions of the elderly consorts and noblewomen present shift ever so slightly. It's uncanny, truly uncanny, especially that quiet demeanor. I recall that when imperial concubine Huang left the palace, she brought a personal maid with her. Later, when the concubine met her end, that maid went missing as well. His words were like a boulder cast into a calm lake, and everyone's gaze swept back and forth between me and Qing, restless and uncertain. Just then, an urgent announcement came from outside the palace. It was said that the Yong'an Earl's mansion had sent someone to the palace with a critical report for the princess. The man was Lin Mo, and he knelt to the ground, deathly pale. Your Highness, this servant deserves to die 1,000 deaths. While recently sorting through the madam's belongings, I discovered a final letter left by the imperial concubine. In it, she clarifies that she did indeed give birth to a daughter, but fearing harm from her enemies, she swapped her own child with a daughter born to a peasant family on the night of the delivery. The imperial concubine wrote that her biological daughter had a cyan birthmark the size of a coin on her left shoulder and a small red mole behind her ear. This servant has verified it. Miss Qing indeed has the cyan birthmark on her left shoulder and the red mole behind her ear. As Lin Mo finished, the room fell deathly silent. It felt as if we were in an ice cellar, and my blood seemed to freeze in my veins. Qing collapsed to the floor in tears. Every piece of evidence had taken a staggering turn at this moment. According to this newly appeared letter, Qing is the biological daughter of the imperial concubine and the true royal bloodline, while I, Liu Yanxi, am nothing more than a peasant substitute. So, I have gone from being a true princess to... What is happening? The air seemed to be completely drained away in that instant. The letter, the birthmark, the mole, Qing, and every piece of evidence. The gazes of pity and scrutiny wrapped around me like a cold, sticky web. The jade pendant I kept close to my heart suddenly seemed like ironclad proof of my identity theft. The empress looked at me with an unprecedented sternness, her eyes filled with complex, inscrutable emotions. This matter is of great significance. We must inform His Majesty immediately. Her gaze chilled me to the bone. Qing was carefully helped up by the servants, and the look she cast toward me was full of fear and apology. Miss, he seemed to want to tell me something, but was stopped by a gesture. Miss Qing, please follow me to the side chamber to rest. His Majesty will be here momentarily. She is no longer my maid. She might be of true royal blood. And I, Liu Yanxi, am like a fake about to be exposed, enduring silent judgment from every side. The emperor strode in, his footsteps hurried. When he saw the tearful, trembling Qing, his breath seemed to catch, and only then did his gaze turn to me, standing aside.
What exactly is going on?
The Empress stepped forward to present the items, whispering a quick explanation. The Emperor took the letter, his fingers trembling slightly. He then held the jade pendant up to the light, studying the blood-red inscription on it.
Lu Yunxi, what do you have to say for yourself?
What could I possibly say? This entire situation might have been orchestrated by my stepmother. Proof? I am just as confused as everyone else. That is the truth, but everything is a lie. Everything is for His Majesty to decide. I offered no defense, no tearful plea, because I suddenly remembered when I left the estate, my stepmother clutching my hand tightly. The palace is treacherous. Be careful in all things. There was also the maid she forced upon me, Qing. Perhaps this scene before me was all part of her plan. The Emperor remained silent for a long time, until the pain in my knees became sharp and the incense ash in the hall fell. Let Qing be temporarily placed in the Chongla Palace. Lu Yunxi is to be moved to the Jingxi court immediately. Confine all those involved and conduct a thorough investigation. I want the plain and simple truth. Quote, the Jingxi court. It was the most secluded place in the palace, little more than a cold storage prison. I was moved silently from the princess's palace to this place. Qing did not follow. She went to the more protected, high-profile Chongla Palace. As night fell, the Jingxi court had only a few flickering lights. The wind outside sounded like the night at the estate when I overheard the secret. I hugged myself, sitting on the cold bed, clutching the jade pendant that no longer belonged to me. It wasn't taken away, perhaps because the Emperor still needed it as evidence, or perhaps he had other doubts. The moment of shock when the Emperor looked at Qing, the complex, indescribable look in Qingyi's eyes when they met mine. If Qing is the real one, why did my stepmother give the pendant to me? Unless this play of the real and fake princess hides an even deeper motive, my days in the Jingxi court are like a pool of stagnant water. I am confined here, completely cut off from the outside world. The daily meals are not crude, and I even see pastries occasionally, but the two taciturn palace maids are like emotionless statues, never uttering a word beyond necessary service and guarding. They thought I was asleep and lowered their voices, yet the silence amplified them, drifting into my ears in fragments. I heard the Earl and his wife have been imprisoned. The young masters, young misses, and that Empress Dowager are all furious. None of them will escape a thorough investigation. And this one inside. The Emperor ordered her entire family to be executed. So Qingyi's identity has been confirmed. Earl Yonggan, deceiving the imperial bloodline is a capital crime. Treating the true royal bloodline as a maid is an unforgivable sin, a crime beyond redemption. The Emperor's so-called mercy might just be isolating me, Lu Yunxi, to avoid interfering with the storm of rage against the Earl's house. Or perhaps my usefulness hasn't ended yet. I slowly piece together the fragments I've heard, trying to reconstruct Mother's entire plan. The most likely scenario is that Qing is the real princess. Imperial concubine Huang's biological daughter was hastily swapped back then, later found by Mother through unknown means, and secretly raised by her side until the time was ripe, using that letter and birthmark to push her back into the public eye. And I, Lu Yunxi, must be the farm girl used by concubine Huang for the swap. Mother adopting me was merely to use me as a smokescreen to cover for Qing, pushing me to be the fake princess to shield her from all eyes and dangers. Once the real princess safely returned, I, as a fake, naturally lost all value and even became living evidence of their crimes. As for that illegitimate daughter Lu Hongxuan, she was originally the wife of the Marquis's guard, brought here by Mother to be a scapegoat for their crimes. Lu Qianqin is the genuine bloodline of the Marquis's house, but born at the wrong time, she became the most awkward existence. Thus, my life, from farm girl to the Marquis's daughter, to fake princess, and now a condemned prisoner, seems full of twists and turns, but in reality, every step was played on someone else's board. The only stroke of luck might be having a few extra days of life compared to those already gone, and experiencing a fleeting moment of hollow fatherly love. Thinking of the Emperor makes my chest ache with a dull, sharp pain. Not the love between a man and a woman, but a child's natural trust and adoration for a father. In the palace, affection is only given to those who are useful. The Emperor once treated me like his own daughter. The concern in his eyes and the lavish gifts all seem so genuine. But now, it is all revealed as a lie. In his eyes, I am nothing but a fraud who dared to steal the royal bloodline. In the quiet months, the days are as long as the nights. I sit by the window, watching the falling leaves and listening to the howling northern wind, my heart already numb. Waiting for judgment is more agonizing than death itself. I never know which day it will suddenly descend, whether by poison or a blade. This stolen life should have reached its end. But the one who arrived was not the eunuch sent to take my life, but my mother, Shen Mingzu. That afternoon, the quiet courtyard suddenly grew bustling. A group of well-dressed, efficient palace maids filed in. The head matron held a magnificent tray laden with ceremonial robes and ornaments. Shen wore a brand new, deep purple noblewoman's gown, her head adorned with pearl crowns, her face more radiant than I had ever remembered. Why are you still just standing there? It is getting late. Hurry and dress her. With the true princess returned, I, the final counterfeit, am to be dragged out before my death, dressed up and put on stage to finish the last act for their amusement. Their movements were not exactly rough, yet they held an unquestionable force. My hair was loosened and combed. The cold comb scraped against my scalp, causing a slight sting. Golden hairpins, jade combs, and pearl flowers. Cold objects were thrust into my tresses, tugging at the roots. I looked into the bronze mirror at the magnificently dressed yet unfamiliar self, my eyes burning with heat. Yeah, I held back the tears. Stand up and turn around. Let me see. I stood up blankly, like a marionette. Are they truly going to behead me and still expect me to perform one last act like a common player? It's too much. Perhaps the numbness of facing death was too evident on my face, for Mother finally sensed something was wrong. She waved her hand, dismissing the palace maids. What is with this look? Who has upset you? Quote, Mother, no, madam, have you come all this way just to see me off for the last time? To watch me eat a final meal before my execution, and to style my hair beautifully so I may go on my way? Quote, who said you were to be beheaded? Who told you that you were going to die? Is that not the case? Am I not a fake? They've found the real princess, and I'm the fake? How could you think that? Do you think I went through all that trouble to turn the Marquis's estate upside down just to produce a fake princess and ruin myself in the process? Listen to me, sire. From beginning to end, you have been the real one. You are the daughter of Consort Huang, of the emperor's own blood, noble and royal. The most precious princess of the great Zhou dynasty. There is nothing left that cannot be said now. Your mother, Consort Huang, was indeed pregnant when she fled in distress. Your grandfather, a former imperial tutor, fell into disgrace and, hindered by the late emperor's suspicion and various factions, could not properly settle your mother. She lived in exile, facing constant peril during your birth. To keep you safe, I revised the original plan of substitution. You are the princess. The farm girl originally meant to replace Lu Qianqin was Qing. I really am a princess? As for Lu Hongxuan, he is merely a farm boy who happens to resemble Lu Zhenye, not his own son. The path to the throne is treacherous, and the capital is filled with tangled factions. Rather than exposing you as a target, it was better to keep you hidden so you could grow up safely. As for your siblings, the more they stand out, the more attention they draw, keeping you all the safer. Then the birthmark on Qingyi's back must be real. That birthmark is a fake. That entire performance of a real and fake princess was meant to lure the snakes out of their holes. Though the emperor has ascended the throne, those who harmed your grandfather's family and those dissatisfied with the emperor, hoping to exploit the Huang family bloodline, remained in hiding. A princess who is here one moment and gone the next, yet potentially alive, is the best bait to stir the currents and force them to reveal themselves. To outsiders, the emperor doesn't know when Lady Feng gave birth or if the child is a boy. If there can be one fake princess, there can be two, or even a real prince. And indeed, they jumped out. By now, those who needed to be cleared out have been taken care of. But why did no one tell me? I knew nothing at all. I thought I was a fake, a pawn to be discarded at any moment. I have been so afraid for so long. This is my fault, and your father's too. I had assumed that once the emperor brought you into the palace, he would naturally explain everything to you. When I left the manor, I specifically warned you that the palace is complicated and to be careful. I had you bring Qing, thinking that if anything changed, she could give you a hint, or the emperor would tell you the truth. Who would have thought your father was so unreliable? It wasn't convenient for me to go into details, so I just expected him to be open with you as soon as possible. But look at him, just busy enjoying family bliss and playing with his daughter, having completely forgotten about the real matters at hand. It's simply outrageous. Shen Mingzhu, I don't care to hear that. I never heard you ask me to tell her the truth quickly. You only said the palace was complex and entrusted Zaire to me. I naturally assumed you had arranged everything properly. Besides, your manor isn't safe, and my palace isn't peaceful either. By any account, you, the one who raised her, should have found a chance to explain it to her. Now that you've dragged this out and frightened the child, you blame me instead? Shen Mingzhu, the Marchioness who just moments ago seemed in complete control, stood tall before the new emperor, but her eyes flickered slightly. She was clearly in the wrong, yet refused to yield. Your Majesty, that is absurd. I live in a den of wolves, every move under surveillance. How could I speak clearly? It is you, your Majesty, who have brought the princess home. Wouldn't it have been natural to tell her the truth upon your reunion? Why wait until now, leaving the princess in such fear? Quote,
I was only trying to find the right moment.
Is the right moment when the princess has been living in fear in the palace all this time?
Isn't that why I've come now? You, on the other hand, dressed so grandly. Are you not afraid of drawing attention?
I am a first-ranked noblewoman. What is wrong with me coming and going from the palace? It is you, your Majesty, who snuck in here, perhaps because you feel guilty. I watched this surreal scene unfold. The ruler of the great Zhou dynasty and my inscrutable mother, acting just like two ordinary parents shifting blame onto each other, arguing in front of me about whose negligence led to my tragic plight. After all that emotional turmoil, things surprisingly calmed down. What replaced it was a bittersweet warmth and a deeply absurd urge to both cry and laugh. So, I wasn't an unwanted fake after all. It turns out my unreliable emperor father and this intimidating mother, perhaps I should call her Empress Mother, would actually bicker over who should tell me the truth. My tears finally flowed uncontrollably, rolling down in large drops and ruining my delicate makeup. The two of them, right in the middle of their argument, stopped at the same time. So I really am a princess, and it won't change again, right? Of course you are. You're real. More real than real. The investiture ceremony was solemn and grand, far surpassing the previous rushed affair. Wearing my most formal princess robes, under the gaze of all the civil and military officials and amidst the chanting of the officials, I walked step by step up to the high platform. From my father's hands, I received the golden scroll and seal that represented my identity as the Princess of Anning. This time, there was no panic or emptiness in my heart. only a heavy, grounded sense of belonging. I am Liu Yanqi, the princess of Anning of the Great Zhou. After the ceremony, I moved into a newly renovated, even more magnificent and spacious princess palace. Everything inside was exquisite and beautiful. The maids and eunuchs were exceptionally respectful, and everything displayed the emperor's extreme doting on his long-lost daughter. But a shadow still lingered in my heart, a trace of uncertainty that I couldn't quite shake off, until that afternoon when the emperor finished handling court affairs and slipped into my palace. Like a father from an ordinary family, he asked what I wanted to eat, saying he had brought in a chef from Zhongnan. Looking at his smiling face, I hesitated repeatedly, but still couldn't help but tug on his sleeve. Father, let me confirm one more time. I really am your daughter, right? There won't be any more surprises, will there? Oh you. Why are you still thinking about this? Didn't I already tell you the truth? Absolutely. But that illegitimate son of Lord Liu also looks quite like him. Bloodlines can be so deceptive sometimes.
Zaire, you look 7 or 8 parts like your mother, especially when you smile. The moment I first saw you at the Marquis's estate, my heart was shaken. But given the circumstances then, I dared not acknowledge you for fear it would bring you harm. You were never truly out of my sight since childhood. Your stepmother, Lady Shen, would often send word. The Tang dolls you liked, the special silver needles for your embroidery, and that rare travelogue. You thought they were gifts from the Marquis or because Lady Shen favored your obedience. They were all sought out by me, passed through hands to Lady Shen, and then, accidentally, fell into yours. I know you love the osmanthus cakes from Chengnan, that you fear thunder, that you memorize books quickly, but your calligraphy is only average. I missed so much of your upbringing, and could only participate in your life through these scattered gestures. So, all those fragments of warmth and special favors were not without reason. The last of my doubts and guard vanished at this moment. In their place came a surging wave of emotion and a stinging soreness in my nose. Your Majesty. The atmosphere eased, and I suddenly recalled another lingering question. Then my mother, the late imperial noble consort, was she truly your most beloved? The storybooks all say the same. A devoted emperor, a white moonlight who passed away early, leaving behind a sole heir to be deeply cherished. Quote. Upon hearing this, his face took on an incredibly strange expression, like a toothache, or perhaps embarrassment, with a hint of indescribable humiliation. No.
He answered crisply and cleanly, his tone even a bit sharp. Ah.
Your mother was my junior sister. We studied under the same master, who was also your maternal grandfather. Her talent was so high and her character so lofty that none of us fellow students could compare. In her own words, even us royal princes and descendants were just slightly brighter rascals in her eyes. I admired her learning and appreciated her character. I regarded her as a close friend and kin, but there was never any romantic love between us. Besides, your mother had such a temper that she could make anyone jump with rage. I'm no masochist. How could I have fallen for her?
This is completely different from the beautiful love story I heard. Then, how did my mother conceive me? A more shocking thought surfaced, and my voice trembled. Could it be that you forced her? Your Majesty doesn't look like that kind of person.
What are you saying? It was clearly your mother who forced me. Back then, your grandfather's family suffered a tragedy and fell into peril, leaving only your mother behind. She was strong-willed and determined to protect her family, but the times were difficult and the path ahead was blocked. She said the Zhao family owed the Feng family an account, and she was determined to leave a hope and a legacy for the Feng family.
So, she chose you.
With sword-like brows and starry eyes, he carried himself with grace. Even now, in his older years, he remains a rare beauty. He must have been even more striking in his youth. It wasn't just about looks. Mother said her child needed the noblest bloodline and the firmest backing to survive in this cutthroat world, and perhaps one day even clear the family name. Back then, he was highly skilled in martial arts and medicine. One careless moment. Anyway, after waking, the deed was done. He only left behind a note, borrowing your bloodline. When the child is born, I will notify you. We shall be even. Do not come looking for me. Quote, and then he just vanished without a trace? That's so like Mother. So, you found Mother later because you had been searching for her in secret? When I learned the news of her peril, I arrived only in time to shield you in the swaddling clothes. She had a spine of steel. She never bowed her head to me, nor did she ever ask me for anything.
His voice lowered, heavy with endless regret.
It was my incompetence that failed to protect her.
Looking at the deep pain and self-reproach in my father's eyes, I felt my own heart ache. My father was not unfeeling toward my mother. It was a more complex and profound emotion. A mix of admiration, guilt, the regret of failing to protect her, perhaps the helplessness of being outplayed, and the eternal bond forged by shared blood. Mother must have trusted you deeply. That is why she chose you to be my father.
I suppose so.
After the dust settled, the imperial court's speed in handing out rewards was even faster than my father used to be when snatching the last piece of braised pork knuckle. First, my imperial father now. He gave me 3 titles, 8 estates, 12 chests of jewels, and a pair of imperial chefs just for tasting my food. All for fear I'd be reminded of those days in the Marquis's estate nibbling on leftovers. Father, I can't eat it all.
If you can't finish it, then eat more. My daughter must never go hungry.
Even the dogs in the manor are eating like royalty now. Next, my foster mother, Ms. Shen Mingzhu. The day the imperial decree arrived, she was calmly arranging flowers. Even when the decree mentioned first-rank lady of the realm, bestowed with the dual phoenix golden scroll, the scissors in her hand remained steady, not shaking in the slightest. Is she not happy? She's happy. But she's even happier that half of the travel funds for my journey were covered by her dowry money. That's so like her. Later, she registered as a female head of household and opened a school for girls, specifically to take in those cast out by their families. When I asked her why, she said, if a place like this had existed back then, my mother might not have had to resort to begging for shelter. Of course, it was mostly out of boredom. After exacting revenge, one must find something to do. As for the Marquis manor, or rather, the former Earl's manor, those siblings of mine, the eldest brother Lu Hongwu, came to see me. He was silent for a long time before finally saying one thing.
Princess, I have wronged you in the past.
My second brother, Lu Hongwen, was sent away to be a county magistrate. Before he took his post, his poor scholar father hobbled over on a cane to see him off. My son, do not be afraid, rest easy. Remember to bring snacks with you, my son. Later, I heard my second brother repaired the roads in the county. The county office was so poor even the rats moved out, because the magistrate paid for the repairs out of his own pocket. His scholar father was so moved he broke his second cane while watching. Lu Hongli joined a security firm. When he returned from his first mission, he was bruised and swollen.
Sister, the world outside is truly vast.
Did you go to escort a shipment or to get into a fight?
I encountered bandits and took down 8 of them single-handedly. The head guard said I was born for this life.
When the blacksmith heard this, he worked through the night to forge him some bracers. He couldn't boast about this anymore. Later, my fifth brother became a gold medal guard, known in the pugilistic world as Iron Fist Lu. His father hung a sign at his blacksmith shop.
Weapons forged by Iron Fist Lu's father, guaranteed for 3 years.
Business was booming. My third sister, fourth sister, and the other girls had their dowries prepared long ago. They all married into respectable families. When their in-laws probed about their complicated past, I told them if they had questions about the women Shen Mingzhu married off, they could come talk to me. No one dared to pry again. Now they gathered to drink tea and embroider, occasionally complaining about their husbands, low salaries, or their children's mischief. But no one mentions the Marquis manor or the past, as if it were all an unpleasant dream. Fifth sister Lu Qianyu married a tea merchant who, knowing her background, respects her greatly, and she lives a stable life. I heard she has become much more settled since then. She even helps the merchant manage his shop and is doing quite well. That's good. People must learn to come down to earth. The most miserable was Lu Qian, the true daughter with true noble blood, yet truly unlucky. She wouldn't stop causing scenes outside the imperial clan court, shouting that she was the princess. In the end, she was sent to the most remote manor to be confined. I visited her once. She was sitting on a ridge, staring blankly, clutching a bunch of wild vegetables in her hand. Seeing me, their eyes shifted from resentment to confusion, and finally cast downward. Perhaps they finally understood that truth and falsehood don't matter as much as living well. As for Lu Hongxuan, that ambitious heir, he vanished after his identity was exposed. Some say they saw him in Zhongnan working as a weaver, others say they saw him beyond the border traveling with merchant caravans, and still others claim he became delirious, telling everyone he was meant to have a noble status. Who knows? In this world, there are always those who prefer to remain lost in vain delusions. On the day Qing left, I walked him to the city gate. Finally, I can go see the apricot blossoms of Zhongnan in the spring rain. Run the embroidery workshop well. From now on, all my clothes will be made by you. Take care, princess. Quote, you too, Sister Qing. She asked for no titles, no land, only freedom. Perhaps, for her, being a princess was a shackle, and an ordinary life was the true destination. Yimu, do you hate my scoundrel father? I used to hate him, but now it's like watching a play end. The curtain has fallen and the audience should go home. He never knew that I had deliberately swapped Hongxuan. He just thought he had bad luck and happened to find a child who resembled him. Yimu, you're an expert at killing and condemning. I have a gentle and kind mother who treats me as her own, elders who guide me, many relatives with different personalities living their own peaceful lives, and the palace offers many delicious and exquisite treats to enjoy. Life is sometimes like a game of chess my father once played. When you think you've reached a dead end, there's actually a bright future ahead. You think it's the end of the story. In fact, the good times have only just begun.